Yo, what is going on, guys? Flashverse here, and welcome back to another video on Superman and Lois. This will be my review and breakdown for Superman and Lois Season 1, Episode 11, titled A Brief Reminiscence in Between Cataclysmic Events. So yeah, pretty long title, and just a quick heads up before I actually get into the video itself. Superman and Lois will be on a 4-week break after this episode, so this is the last episode we will get until they're on a 4-week break. So yeah, there's no episode next week or the week after or the week after that. We're on a 4-week break, and then we will pick up with episode 12, which is the episode where Diggle returns. But yeah, in regards to this episode, once again, Superman and Lois just continues to deliver bangers every single week. There has not been a bad episode at all this season. In fact, for me, the episodes just progressively keep getting better and better. This episode is probably my favorite episode of the season. So many crazy stuff happened. Obviously, we have to talk about that ending scene because I keep rewatching that ending scene. Like, even before I picked up the mic and started recording this video, I rewatched that ending scene probably like 10 times, maybe even more, because it was just such a crazy ending. And like, we had Clark Kent flashbacks during this episode as well, and I really enjoyed them. We got to see that chemistry with Clark and Lois, and it was just beautiful. I really loved this episode a lot, and I just cannot wait to talk about it. But obviously, for those who haven't seen the episode, spoiler alert, since this is a review and breakdown after all, so I'll be going over some major spoilers which you certainly wouldn't want to hear from me, especially that ending scene. You would not want to be spoiled that ending scene because wow, that ending scene is crazy. So yeah, make sure you don't get it spoiled. Go watch the episode and come back later for this review and breakdown. But for those who are staying, be sure to drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel so you are aware of more Arrowverse content coming your way. Okay, so we pick up this episode with a flashback where we have teenage Clark Kent, I'm guessing from the events after episode 5, where obviously Clark leaves Smallville and wanders around Metropolis for a while, I guess. But yeah, we pick up with teenage Clark wandering around the Arctic, and he's following the Sunstone, and we have the Sunstone that continues like igniting on a certain place, and it just stops igniting all of a sudden, and Clark doesn't know what to do. So Clark gets angry and he like throws it on the ground. He calls it like useless, and he just walks away until suddenly we have the Fortress of Solitude being formed. I thought it was a really cool scene. And yeah, we have Clark wandering around the Fortress of Solitude, and he meets with none other than Jor-El himself, who is obviously Clark's biological father, and he gets to know more about who he really is and the whole Kryptonian heritage in general. We do also have this very cool training montage where we had like Jor-El speaking, and then we have like Clark training with his powers. So like, Jor-El talks about how Clark is able to have these insane abilities with like super strength and like incredible speeds, and obviously Jor-El mentions that it's the yellow sun radiation which just gives him that strength, and how he's so incredibly fast. So yeah, we have Clark like running across the Arctic using super speed, and I really love the transition between the young actor and then it just, you know, shifting to Tyler Hoechlin, and I really liked how they were able to make Tyler Hoechlin look younger as well. It wasn't anything with CGI or anything. Tyler Hoechlin just shaved his stubble so he just looked younger. I just think it was a great job. It worked because he did actually look like a younger Clark Kent. But yeah, Jor-El says that he has one lesson left for Clark to learn, and it's something that he cannot teach to Clark. Clark needs to know why he wants to protect humanity. Why does he want to use these incredible powers which he has to do some good? So then we have Clark returning to Smallville to obviously discuss it with his mother, and like, you know, what's happening with his powers and like the whole Kryptonian heritage in general, because he just found out who his real biological father is, and you know, where he's coming from and things like that. So he goes home to Martha. He basically tells Martha everything in regards to like where he's from, who his father was, things like that. And I really enjoyed the scene. It was great to see Martha Kent back as well, because I love it when Clark and Martha interact with one another. This one definitely delivered. But yeah, we also have Martha like talking about like this dream she had where she saw Clark flying, and this is where she makes Clark his very first costume, and that was obviously like the classic Superman suit, which we saw from episode 1 and obviously the comics as well. So yeah, pretty nice Easter egg. And we obviously have Clark wanting to tell Lana everything as well. So he goes out in the streets of Smallville to look for Lana, but then he sees that she's engaged to Kyle Cushing, so he just doesn't talk to her, he just walks off, and he's obviously upset by this. But yeah, we have Superman making his debut to the world, as we saw him in the first episode catching the car. So yeah, I thought that was a very cool thing which they added on, and I really liked how they referred back to that during this episode, since this is a Superman origin episode in a way, in terms of the flashbacks which we were given. But yeah, we had some really cool Easter eggs as well, such as Clark changing his clothes inside the telephone box. I thought that was really cool, and I really liked how the citizens of Metropolis were wandering around and going oh, there's a guy who just flew and saved everybody over there, and then Clark was wait, that person flew? I really liked that. I thought it was hilarious. Yeah, it was really great. But this is where we have Clark discovering that Metropolis is a perfect place to disguise himself from the world, and he also looks up and he sees the Daily Planet where he goes to get a job. So yeah, we have Clark getting interviewed for a job, and the boss was pretty mean. He's okay, you're not qualified for this job, which obviously is understandable because Clark wasn't qualified for it, but then Clark was obviously begging him for a job. And then we had the boss going okay, you're not having any health insurance or anything, which was mean. But again, it's Superman, he's not gonna get injured or get sick or anything like that. So yeah, Clark just accepts the job, and he's paired with Lois Lane. Once again, we get a flashback to that scene in episode 1 where Clark and Lois first meet each other. And yeah, I just really liked how they just tied everything in together. And yeah, Clark basically finds out that Lois Lane is someone who really follows pain points of the city. She mentions everyone's talking about the Superman person, but nobody's talking about these troubling things taking place in Metropolis. So yeah, Clark and Lois find a new way to help the city through journalism. They have been getting along so well since the first time they met each other. And yeah, their chemistry right off the bat with Betsy Tulloch and Tyler Hoechlin as Clark Kent, I really liked it. It was great and very convincing. But yeah, Lois gets a lead on the certain person who is from a particular group. Let's say, I don't want YouTube to block this video just in case I say who it is, but if you guys have watched the episode, you guys would know what I am talking about. But yeah, it's the person who's burning up the city, and let's just say he's a person from Earth X. He's not really from Earth X, but when I say Earth X, you know what I mean by it. But Superman hears Lois being in trouble. He wanders around the Daily Planet and he's wait, where's Lois? And then one of the employees tell Clark where Lois is, and he sees that Lois is in trouble. So he arrives as Superman to save her and stop the villain. So he dives into the heat and stuff, and he stops the bombs from exploding. I thought it was such a sick scene, and this is the first time Lois meets Superman, and yeah, I really liked it. We also had Lois saying, what do I call you? And this is where we get the name Superman from. And once again, I really loved how they just tied all these tidbits together. But yeah, we then have this interview between Lois and Superman, where Lois basically reveals Superman to the world on her TV show for the Daily Planet. And during a break in the filming, because Lois's mic was glitching or something, we learned that Lois is already in love with someone, and Clark was pretty disturbed by this because he used it with his super hearing, and Clark hasn't told Lois that he liked her yet. But yeah, Lois says that she is in love with none other than Clark Kent himself, and this is where him as Superman starts feeling happy again. And yeah, once again, I really like that. But yeah, we then have Clark and Lois starting to date each other, and Clark takes Lois to the Kent farm to meet Martha Kent. And while taking her to the farm, Clark basically tells Martha that he made a choice to tell Lois who he really is, that being Calle, aka, well, Superman. And yeah, once again, we get that scene from episode 1 where Clark obviously reveals himself as Superman to Lois. But then we get a mini time jump where obviously we have Clark proposing to Lois inside the Fortress of Solitude once again from episode 1. And another footage we had reused was when Clark and Lois obviously got married. But Clark is excited to tell Jor-El about his marriage, where we see him tell Clark that he has to leave immediately. Yes, something is up, but we have Clark waking up and we aren't sure if it is a dream or not. And this was the confusing part. I was wait, what is going on, when obviously I was watching it for the first time. But then yeah, we begin to notice what's actually happening. But yeah, we then have Clark awakening, and he's confused because he's missing time a bit, like he's lost in time, if you will say, because he is in, like, he's living the future despite him just being married to Lois and him just going to tell Jor-El the news. So yeah, Clark is confused. He's like, wait, what is going on over here? Because clearly something's happening with his memories. And Lois goes to basically tell Clark the exciting news. And at this point in the episode, something starts to seem out of place. And obviously we find out later on that Tal-Rho, aka Morgan Edge, is just watching Clark's memories. But we discover that all these memories were happening with Superman were actually inside the Fortress of Solitude. And Tal-Rho was essentially like, using this device which allowed him to basically see who Kal-El is, that being Clark Kent and his earthly family. So yeah, I thought that was pretty cold of him to do. But yeah, when Superman obviously notices this for the first time, that is when Lois was about to give birth, and then he notices that Tal-Rho was over there watching him. So yeah, that's when we have Clark waking up. But Tal-Rho basically uses all this information as leverage for Clark to surrender and basically submit to Morgan Edge. And we have Tal-Rho telling Clark his plan, where he knew that Clark was going to be weak from the solar flare he released, and he basically used this knowledge of Kryptonians to take advantage over Clark. And then we have Jor-El appearing in the Fortress of Solitude to defend his son. And oh my god, this scene was just, it was sad for me because honestly, like, this would have been the last time Clark would pretty much see his father, although it was still a hologram. But Tal-Rho says that he will share that information, that Superman has a family, and shatter their world. But we have Tal-Rho going to the Fortress of Solitude area where Jor-El was. He takes the crystal and he just breaks it in front of Clark. I thought that was pretty damn cold. But Clark notes that he spoke with Laura and that she didn't want Tal-Rho's kind of rebirth with Kryptonians. But yeah, Tal-Rho loses patience and he attacks Superman when he's weakened, and he's getting beat up pretty badly. He's getting tossed all around the Fortress of Solitude. It was a pretty cool fight scene nonetheless. But yeah, we head back into Smallville where we have Sarah and Jordan deciding to, become a couple, and we also have that regret with Kyle Cushing and him being such a believer in Morgan Edge, and we have that arc of him apologizing to Lois Lane, which I thought was pretty nice as well. But as the Kent family return to the farm, Tal-Rho arrives, and I really love the scene because Tal-Rho just arrives and he's like, hello, Uncle Morgan just came to visit. I thought that was really, really funny. But yeah, I really loved what was happening during the scene. I thought it was very, very intense. And we also have Jordan, trying to stand up to his uncle. And he uses his heat vision against him. That Superboy and Tal-Rho fight scene, I really, really loved it. Although it was short, it was so sweet. But yeah, obviously Superboy isn't strong enough. Tal-Rho just basically gets rid of him. But yeah, we have Superman finally being able to make it despite him being beaten pretty badly. But yeah, he tries to buy time so that his family is obviously kept safe, and Clark basically pledges to serve Tal-Rho if he keeps his family safe. Like, if Tal-Rho doesn't touch his family, in which Tal-Rho promises that if Clark submits, then he will leave the family unharmed. And this is when we have Superman taken to Tal-Rho's fortress in the desert. And also, I forgot to mention, but we did have some Tal-Rho flashbacks with him having Zeta-Rho with his sunstone. So yeah, I thought that was a pretty cool addition as well. But yeah, we have Superman taken to Tal-Rho's Fortress of Solitude, and we learned that Zeta-Rho was there as well, just like how Jor-El was for Clark. But yeah, the Ross begin their corruption of Superman in their fortress, where they basically do this procedure, and oh my god, I got chills. The fact that John Henry Irons was right and Superman was eventually going to turn, I really, really loved how they tied it up. But at least now we know how Superman became evil from John Henry Irons' world. It was because of this procedure by the looks of it. But yeah, we have evil Superman now, and I cannot wait to see where this goes. I am so annoyed that they left this for a cliffhanger and that we have to wait 4 weeks to see what happens next, because man, this was a crazy ending. But yeah, we have Lois calling for John Henry Irons, and she basically tells him that, yeah, you were right, I think Superman has turned. So yeah, John Henry Irons seems to be helping Lois and obviously the family to try and basically turn Superman back to the good side, I guess, or something along those lines. At least we will have to wait and see. Now, I do have a theory, because the episode after that, being episode 12, is meant to be Diggle's episode. And the only show which can actually pull off a decent looking Green Lantern, or whoever Diggle will be with the ring, is Superman and Lois. So could we possibly end up seeing Superman face off John Diggle with the ring? I don't know, maybe, but I would say that I think we will see Superman become a villain for like 2 to 3 episodes or something. I don't think it will just be resolved in one episode. I think it will be like, you know, an Arrow season 3 type thing, when Oliver becomes Al-Sahim for during the ending scene of like episode 20 or something, and in 21, 22 and 23 he was like, you know, a quote unquote bad guy, despite him just being in disguise as a bad guy. But yeah, I think something will happen over there where Clark is pretty much a villain for like 3 or 2 episodes, and maybe we will reach this point where Clark has to confront his family, and then he will end up hurting one of them, and that's when he gains his humanity back. I'm guessing something like that will happen. We could possibly see Superman versus Superboy. That would be pretty cool to see. But yeah, speaking of this episode, overall, I think this was my favorite episode of the season by far. I really enjoyed every single scene taking place during this episode. I was just left with a smile all the way through, and like with a shock with my face during that ending scene, because that ending scene was crazy. Yeah, Superman and Lois just continues to deliver, and I'm just so annoyed that we have to wait 4 weeks to see what happens next. But yeah guys, thanks for watching. If you guys have enjoyed the video, please give a like and subscribe. Be sure to tell me in the comment section down below what you guys thought about this episode. And yeah, I will see you guys in my next video.